Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Triad Today. Coming up later on, our infamous roundtable gets together. We'll see what kind of controversies they get into. But between now and then, some great guests and important information coming your way, including a discussion about a program that's designed to benefit families. We'll also tell you about one area university that's helping to ensure student success, and we'll meet a chief medical officer. All that and much more coming your way. But first, we start out talking about childhood obesity. It's a problem, and it's one that these three folks next to me are working on in many ways, including creating awareness for childhood obesity and a big event they're going to be talking about in just a second. On my right, David Daggett, our good friend from Daggett Schuler, attorneys at law. David and his partner, Griff Schuler, who brought along a special guest who's been with us before. We're always glad to have her. Erin Craver is Executive Director of the Kernersville Family YMCA. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you, Jim.
Griff Schuler, and we'll get to Griff in just a second. David, let me start with you. How bad is the childhood obesity problem, do you think?
Well, it's grown tremendously, and in fact, in half my lifetime, which is the last 30 years, the obesity rate in children has gone up 4 times over that period. So now about 20% of all youth are obese, and 30% of all youth are overweight. And I know we're going to get to it, but thank goodness the YMCA system is doing something about it. But it's a big problem. We need to be aware of it. We need to help and encourage our young people on ways to avoid that problem, because young people who are obese, you're likely to be obese as an adult, which brings on
just keeps going.
All sorts of health problems.
And Griff, that brings me to you, because I know that you believe that there's other things other than just the weight problem when a child is obese.
Well, there's the long-term implications that David just mentioned about what happens in an adult. There's obviously very short-term implications to the child. Studies show that children that are obese have less self-esteem, which then leads to emotional and psychological problems. There's studies that have direct correlation between being obese and an increase in depression and anxiety. And so it's kind of scary to think about, but it's beyond just the physical problems. There's emotional and mental consequences that happens at the child level.
Yeah, at the worst possible age when they're trying to form who they are. Erin, what kind of programs and things is the YMCA doing to abate this problem?
So for starters, we do an annual mistletoe run that is going to take place the first Saturday of every December. So this year, Saturday, December 7th. And it's an opportunity where kids and families get to come and join in order to raise money for a cause to help fight childhood obesity, which the Y does through swim lessons, basketball, soccer, Tide swim team, all sorts of sports and healthy activities.
Year round.
Year round. 365 days a year.
To keep kids in shape. Now, the mistletoe run, since you mentioned it, now the money that you're raising, does that come from fees of people that want to participate or what?
Right, so the exciting news is that 100% of the revenue of race registration, after paid expenses obviously, goes to fight childhood obesity in our community. So last year we raised $76,000 in order to dump back into Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Wow. David, why should folks attend this?
It's a great event. First of all, it's one of the biggest running races in our area. Last year, just under 3,000 runners. I think we're going to crack 3,000 this year.
Wow.
That's a lot of runners. It's a terrific event, terrific organization. The people of the YMCA, they host it and they welcome everybody with open arms. Last year, 20% of all runners were youth. So it involves youth in the community. It gets us going. And as Erin said, local races, local events like this, the money stays local and impacts local. And because it's being run by a nonprofit organization, the YMCA, it's unique that 100% of the proceeds go right back into the community.
And I think that financial help is so huge, because if you think about modern society now and the way it's evolved with the smartphones and kids using that and everything, Jim, it's so easy to stay inside, and so having programs and having the team sports and the swimming opportunities and everything, and for a lot of kids, they can't afford to be part of the Y programs unless they have the financial assistance that's brought along by being able to do the mistletoe race.
This helps underwrite that. Up on screen, I want to make sure we don't run out of time on this, the 36th Annual Mistletoe Run, Saturday, December 7th. I think it starts at the William White YMCA, Winston-Salem.
Yes.
Fun run is at 7:30 a.m., half marathon at 8 o'clock. The 5K is at 8:15. For more information, you can go to ymcamistletoe.com. ymcamistletoe.org. For the radio listening audience in WSJS, that's ymcamistletoe.org. And for general information about all the great things that Daggett Schuler does and offers, daggettschulerlaw.com. And to all of you, thanks for what you're doing to bring awareness to this problem.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Appreciate you having us.
And David, you're going to stay with us for the roundtable later.
Oh, good.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after Triad Today, and I want to talk about hospice and come at it from a little bit different angle than we usually do, because I have a very special guest with us. On my right is Dr. Michael Laylor, Chief Medical Officer of Trellis Supportive Care. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for
Good to
having me.
see you.
You too, sir.
First, before we get into, I want to talk about a very special month that we're in right now. Before we do that, let's just bring people up to speed. What would a Chief Medical Officer do in a hospice setting?
Yeah, thank you for asking. As the Chief Medical Officer, I'm responsible for overseeing the provision of all our medical care. You know, on a day-to-day basis, we take care of about 450 patients in the Triad area. So I help supervise all of their medical services, the physicians, the nurse practitioners that consist of the team, as well as protocols for our nursing staff and
So you're
clinical
coordinating
questions.
with everybody.
Exactly correct.
Yeah, and some of these folks, of course, there is a hospice home, but most people will receive hospice care in their own home, and so you've got a lot to coordinate there. This is a special month, National Hospice Month. That's sort of a time to increase awareness for what hospice is, what it can mean to a family. What do you want people to know about hospice care who don't know anything about it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. The month celebrates the great service that hospice provides. And I think there's a couple of unique things about it that people don't understand until they've had the opportunity to experience it with a family member. First, it's interdisciplinary care. So when you're receiving service from our organization, it's a team of medical providers, nurses, chaplains, social workers that all come to you, wherever that is. As you mentioned, the majority of patients are in their home, focusing on the quality of someone's life as opposed to just the quantity of someone's life. The most common mistake we hear is people think it's only supposed to be for the very end, the final days of someone's life.
Right, and then wait too late.
Yeah, not at all. And it's for the whole entire time leading up to the transition into someone's death. So it's simply the right care at the right time.
This is a 40th anniversary, I believe, for Trellis. What do you think is special about that kind of milestone? What does that mean?
That's exactly right. And I think it's something incredible of the organization. I don't think you get there unless you have the trust of your community. I think if it wasn't for the service that our organization was able to provide, you know, supporting the patients that need it in their home, and then in turn the community supporting us back, 40 years wouldn't have been in our future. We are proud to say we were the first hospice in North Carolina to serve any patient, and our organization has only grown with the support of this community.
We are in the midst of, or about to be in the midst of, various holidays, seasons, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Is this a good time of year to talk with elderly parents, if you're an adult child maybe, and talk to them about hospice?
Yeah, frequently it is. I think two situations occur. Once in a while we see someone who hasn't encountered their family member in a long time. They live out of state, they come home from the holidays, and see a significant change. In those situations, it's clearly appropriate. And if you need help with it, let us know. Give us a call. We can help guide the conversation. But the other scenario is, at the end of the day, that conversation is a gift. Talk about a Christmas present. Being able to know clearly what it is that your parents want when they have the opportunity to express that for themselves, it's so much easier and it's so much a relief for a family member rather than having to try and make that decision for them if it wasn't clear.
Sure. And for those of us that have been through this experience, it means a lot to do the planning, to get with a team, and talk about these things. Before we run out of time, I want to put something up on screen. TrellisSupport.org is the general website where you can get lots of information about this and find out how you can make appointments and sit down, maybe have a consultation. TrellisSupport.org. And we have about 30 seconds left. I was just going to ask you, since we've never met before, who or what influenced you to go into medicine?
Yeah, I think it was a combination of love of science going through school and then wanting to take care of, people. They tied those two things together that really was attractive to me.
First doctor in your family?
Yes, first doctor.
How about that?
Grew up New York City cops, and then I'm the first doctor, so everyone was proud.
All right, Doc, I appreciate what you do.
Thank you so much, sir. Pleasure
All
to be
right.
here today.
Okay. We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, helping families. That's a good thing. And we have a young lady with us who's involved in the program that helps families. And let's meet her right now. She's been with us before. Our good friend Tanya Foltz is Project Family Engagement Coordinator for Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina. Did I get it? It's a big title. Did I get that
it's
right?
fancy.
How you been doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Been a while.
Good.
Now, all right. Now this is new, and when you sent me an email with some information about it, it said Project Family Program, and I was trying to look it up. What is it exactly?
So Project Family is a new division of Project Reentry where we've been working with the person who's been incarcerated since 2003. But now we are now including the family, and how can we work with the family to have a better reunification with the kids upon the parent's release. So our goal is to work with the caregiver and the parent to say what is the best interest of the kids, and then we go from there.
Well, now, well, I think that's important because, you know, it's not like that somebody gets out of serving time and he or she is just a single person with no family. They've got some family.
Right.
And that's going to have an impact on them. I just think what you're doing is great. Now, who's eligible to participate in this? Is there certain guidelines or something?
And so anyone that's been affected by parental incarceration, they're welcome to come, whether it's the caregiver who's caring for the kids while the parent's still incarcerated, or the parent who was just recently released.
Now, I know you already partially answered this, but I'm curious about, maybe give me a couple or three examples of the kind of services. If somebody's wondering about, well, all right, Tanya, exactly what do you mean you're going to help? What do you mean there's this support? Give me a few examples of specifics of maybe how you help.
So for the services, if the caregiver is caring for kids that the parent may be incarcerated, and a lot of times the caregivers are the grandmothers. So how can we offer services to them? We can identify resources to help them, whether they need food or housing or other things that they need, or just maybe supportive services to say, these are some things that we can look at when the parent comes out. And is there any services the kids need? So we can offer services through that as well.
That's interesting. Now, tell me, didn't you tell me off camera something about a special thing you're doing for the holidays?
Yeah, so we're very excited. We've partnered with Angel Tree through Prison Fellowship. So we are going to sponsor 79 children whose parents are currently incarcerated, and we're going to provide a gift to them on behalf of their parents.
Wow.
And so when we give the gift, this is from your mom or dad, and they get really excited because it builds that bond, and like
Sure.
they show that my parent still loves me even though they're not with me.
Yeah. Now what do you call it? Is it one big event on a certain date, or how's it working?
So what we do, we're collecting the gifts now, and what we'll do is we'll deliver the gifts to them because a lot of them have transportation issues. So
Right.
we deliver the gifts straight to them, and we then take a picture of the child and send that to their parent who's incarcerated. So we're building that bond
Isn't
and that
great?
relationship.
That's just super.
It's awesome.
Is there a deadline for sending in?
So our deadline's going to be like around the 10th of December. So if anyone's interested, they can call me, and I can let them know how
Okay.
where the need is.
And there's a Project Family website. Can they learn about it
Yes.
from there? Okay. You know what I forgot to ask you too is if I want to, you know, if my family needs your services, is there a fee for
There's
this?
no fee, it's free of charge. And it's done on behalf of, we're a program of the Piedmont Triad Regional Council in partnership with Goodwill. So all the services are free of charge.
Is there a specific time of year that you have to sign up for this? Have I missed a deadline, or is it year round, or what?
It's year round, so they can call me at any time and I'd be happy to help them.
And you keep saying call you. I'm going to put
Yes.
up on screen, and then I want you to give me your phone number.
Okay.
The projectfamilync.org is the website you can go to for more information. For the radio listening audience, I'll say it again, projectfamilync.org. The general website for Goodwill, of course, is goodwillnwnc.org. That stands for Northwest North Carolina. I'll say it again, goodwillnwnc.org. Goodwill doing a lot for a lot of people. We want to remind people to shop in the Goodwill stores because those proceeds go to support programs like what Tanya's talking about. And give me a number very quickly.
336-724-3625.
3625. All right. I've just written it down, so it's up there.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks.
Be right back after this. On Triad Today, when I was at UNCG 100 million years ago, there was nobody like this next guest. And if there had been, I would have turned out better. But anyway, next to me is somebody who's already turned out better. Samantha Rayner is Assistant Vice Provost for Strategic Student Success Initiatives at UNCG. Welcome.
Thank you so
Good to
much
see
for
you.
having me.
I want to find out what that means. I mean, that's a long title, Strategic Student Success Initiatives. What does that mean?
It is. Basically what it means is that my responsibility is to make sure that students graduate, and that they graduate on time, and that we are deploying the right kinds of supports to ensure that students can do that.
Now, I think Eden or somebody sent me an email that says something about that you do hands-on academic coaching. What does that involve?
Yep, hands-on academic coaching. So this is a new program that we launched this fall, and we were grateful to have a gift from the Edward M. Armfield Senior Foundation of $1.2 million to support this program. So what we were able to do is hire and train 10 graduate assistants as executive coaches to work with 150 first-year undergraduate students throughout their first year. We've recently received an additional $250,000 from the Simula Foundation to scale that program to serve an additional 75 students next year.
Now, will that help to compensate the graduate students for their time, or how's that work?
It does, right. So graduate students get not only this executive coach training that puts them on the path towards certification as an executive coach, but they're also paid for their time.
I think I wrote in an executive coach to my graduation, but that's a whole nother topic. Now, let's go back, seriously, let's go back to something here. UNCG is, I think, not just my opinion, probably the biggest, most diverse university in the area, and the most diverse probably in the state system, right?
We are.
Okay, here's my question then. Let me play devil's advocate on that. How can you be so big and so diverse and not risk losing that individuality, of personal attention, when you're trying to help each individual student succeed? How do you balance that?
Right, it's a great question, and I really credit the leadership that we have, specifically our chancellor, and the commitment to ensuring that students have the support and success and that they need to be successful. So we do this in a couple of ways. We have targeted programs for specific populations of students. So these are things like the UNCG Guarantee Program that's focused for high-achieving high school students who come from low-income backgrounds. So we support them through tuition scholarships as well as wraparound services in their first year, and some federally funded programs like TRIO that support students who are first in their family to graduate.
Well, you mentioned high school students, but let's go back to the college campus thing. Let's suppose I hit campus and I say, gee, I'd like some help with trying to figure out where I'm headed. Now, how do I mean, is there a place to sign up? Is there a number to call? Is there a building to go to? What happens?
So there's a number of ways that students find the support that they need. For our first year students, we have first year experience programs that help to provide students with the range of resources available. Our coaches actually help our first year students to understand all the resources available to them. And not only understand them, but how to connect with them. So we're working with students one-on-one in a variety of ways to make sure they get the support that they need.
You know, when I meet somebody for the first time, especially a fellow UNCG Spartan, I'm very curious. Before time runs out, I'm just curious, why did you want to go into this field?
I am a first-generation college student from a low-income background, and it was very difficult for me to navigate the higher ed world. So this is my way of giving back to students who come from similar backgrounds as to the one I came from.
Means a lot to you, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Up on screen is the general website I'd like for you to check out. You can go to a lot of places and navigate things and find out things, www.uncg.edu, and for the radio listening audience again, www.uncg.edu, and find out all about this and many other programs. Samantha Rayner, thanks for doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
You're making a difference.
Thank you.
All right, my friend. We'll be right back now on Triad Today. Just before we get to the roundtable, I want to remind you to pick up your copy of Yes Weekly. It is free and available just about everywhere. I have a Thanksgiving column in there, by the way, if you want to read that. Now to the roundtable on my right, but always the political left. Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster and journalist. Next to him is a gentleman who we have held over from an earlier segment, David Daggett. Of course, did that wonderful segment with Griff and Aaron about childhood obesity. We appreciate that, but he stayed over for the roundtable. And next to David is President Trump's personal attorney.
Every time I go away and I come back, you have to say something. You have to say something, right?
Keith Granberry is, no, seriously, Keith is founder of Helping Hands Consultants, been all over the world, recently coming back from South Africa, doing great work in economic development and human development. All right, guys, here's a kind of a difficult question I want to start with. An African-American police officer in Greensboro has been put on paid leave for marching in a parade sponsored by a hate group that is anti-police and anti-white. Now, like him or not, I don't even know the gentleman, should a city employee be punished for who he associates with away from the job? Ogie Overman.
Well, not knowing the group or the circumstance. On the surface, I'm going to side with the cop. It's got to be, I don't even know if it's really a hate group, an anti-white group.
Southern Poverty Law Center groups them fairly or unfairly. They have a list,
Right, okay.
and they said,
Well, I would go, if they say it's a hate group, it is a hate group.
David.
I look at it as an employer, and I want my employees to comport themselves with reasonable decorum, and that's between the fences. And within the fences, you got complete freedom, but you can't go outside the fences to repulsive conduct. And I think that's the way I would analyze that. And if it's repulsive, then action needs to be taken.
Mr. Granberry.
I think, number one, I don't know what this group is, and I don't know what the definition of hate group is. They may be having a definition that this group may not be. So I really can't speak on
And
whether
he
or not
didn't do
it's a
anything
hate
hateful.
group. But yeah, if he's marching with a group and the group is against a specific group based on race, is wrong, period, no matter who it is.
Okay. Last week, while performing an improv comedy routine, a Surrey County high school student made a distasteful joke about Donald Trump. Nobody will reveal what that joke was. And now the Sheriff's Department has launched an investigation into the matter and the student because a parent complained. Guys, are you okay with investigating a student over something like this, or is it an affront to free speech? Ogie Overman.
Well, yes, it is. And in fact, I mean, what's not distasteful about Trump?
Well, I didn't.
So you have to make a joke about it sometimes just to keep from crying.
Somebody didn't like it. David Daggett.
I think that there's a spectrum here as to what's distasteful and what is threatening or a precursor to something more.
If he threatened, that's one thing.
If he threatens and it's a precursor to something else, yes, investigate him. If it's just a bad joke or a distasteful joke or even an offensive joke, that's free speech.
Chief.
Man, how many people talked about Obama? I mean, that's their job. Freedom of speech. People get a chance to say that's what kids and young people go to school for, to learn freedom of speech. This is crazy.
Yeah. As long, like David said, as long as they don't threaten the life of, and sometimes Obama got death threats and whatever, but I think this was just probably used obscenities or something. We don't know. Yeah. The Guilford County School Board has recently ruled that parents can appeal their child's suspension if it's a short suspension, 10 days or less. You okay with taking these suspensions out of the hands of school principals and letting parents appeal to the superintendents? Quickly, Ogie.
This became a big brouhaha in Greensboro, really over a very minor issue. The superintendent is going to side with the principal 9 times out of 10. It gives the parents a little recourse, but it's not that big a deal.
David.
Well, I think that there needs to be some sort of review built into the system. This sounds like it could create an administrative burden that is heavy on everybody, and you don't want something that's so cumbersome it's unworkable.
Right, and we're not talking about long-term suspensions like bringing a weapon to school. This is like, Johnny and Davey fighting or something like that. Keith, what do you think?
I think it should be the reverse. I think if it's something that's long-term, parents should be able to intervene versus short-term. Because if it's long-term, it affects the kids, and it may be something that's serious versus short-term.
And they can go up the chain of command on something really serious, but this was like the less serious stuff. I don't know. How much time do we have, Brian? Brian just stuck a finger up at me. I don't know what that means.
You know.
The Carrboro, the town of Carrboro, has just changed the name of its governing body from Board of Aldermen to Town Council, which they say is a gender-neutral name. Is the name change a good idea, or is it politically correct overreaction? Ogie.
Just keeping up with the times. Nobody does Board of Aldermen anymore anyway. Town Council's fine.
Mr. Daggett.
I think it's just fine. To me, it's a non-issue.
So it's not overreacting.
It's just a non-issue.
I think they should call themselves the Granberries. No, I'm just kidding. It's a non-issue.
You don't think it's a big deal?
No big deal.
The final thing is a Chinese fashion designer has just created a line of clothing made entirely from waste and trash collected from the ocean. And you have to take a look at this thing. We don't have a picture of it. It's not like recycled, it's like hanging off of the garment. Guys, would you wear clothes made of trash, or put another way, would you wear trashy clothing?
Well, that changes everything if it's not repurposed trash. I'm all for that.
You don't want anything hanging off of it.
Not seaweed, no. But really repurposing everything, everything.
I think he just got stuff hanging off of David.
Yeah, I don't want stuff hanging off me, but the truth is, most of us have something that's fleece, and that's made out of recycled bottles, most of it, and we're getting better at doing that and And maybe this is a provocative gesture to remind us there's more ways to recycle trash.
Keith, you have never worn trashy clothing.
No, nor have I been trashy ever. I'm not even trashy. No, I absolutely would not wear, any type of trash, nor would be with anyone who is trashy.
Nothing out of the...
that I know of.
Well, you're sitting next to three. Never mind. Well, we hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. And that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. Authorities are investigating a claim by a number of women who have come forward to complain about a man who romanced them online, then scammed them out of millions of dollars. This is a witch hunt, said Ogie Overman.
I'm glad you got him this time. You usually get me. Thank you.
For all of us here, all of us trashy guys, I'm Jim Lawler.